Hey, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a reading update on what I'm currently reading, on how my reading's been going, and also that big books challenge I talked about. So right now, I'm currently reading Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I really enjoy the Miyazaki movie of it, and I wanted to see, books are usually better than movies, so I wanted to see if it was better. And I'm super close to being done. I think I'll just finish it today. I've really been enjoying it so far. There's a lot of differences from the movie, but it's really fun to read. It's really like an adventure. I'm also actually reading 2 more books as well, which usually I don't read a ton of books at a time, just because it's just too much going on. But when I started this book, I felt like I was getting a little bored, and I felt like I needed a different book, and I only got about 100 pages in. This is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. It's enjoyable, but it wasn't capturing me as much as I was hoping to, so I kind of put it down for a while. So I'm technically currently reading this, but I haven't read a lot from it recently. And then the last book I'm currently reading is one that I am reading on my Nook, because it's free on the Nook. Can you see this? This is The Phantom of the Opera, if you can see it. Actually, I should say it's free on Kindle, and I'm using the Kindle app to read it in my Nook. That's kind of my trick, because I get a lot of books off of Kindle rather than from the Nook store. In fact, most of them they're from the free, like, classics on Kindle. So I'm reading Phantom of the Opera. How far am I in this? I am 30% of the way through the book. It's not a super long book, and that's a book that I've been enjoying the most so far out of the ones I've been currently reading. It's really cool. It's kind of like a mystery, and then it's, basically, there's an opera ghost, or a legend of an opera ghost, or all these things, and a lot of people think it's just some other person playing a joke on them, and then that he's just writing letters to them and stuff, but it gets pretty interesting. I haven't actually watched the movie of it, but I love the music from it. I do want to touch on one thing that I did finish reading recently. At the beginning of this month, I finished this book. I was so bad at reading last month. I was just periodically reading this book, basically, throughout the month. And when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I could really get into this. But as I kept going on, it was good. I thought it was very interesting, seeing the perspective of this one guy stranded on Mars. But while it was funny, and there was some funny characters and just interesting events going on, I thought it would be so much better. I feel like this book has been overhyped, in my opinion. That is what it seems like, because it just didn't bring out any type of emotions or any type of like, wow, that's like so cool. I feel like most of the book was a lot of, oh, this is what I'm doing, and let me tell you all the scientific details of how I did all these things to help myself survive. And I feel like this might appeal more to people who are like engineers or things like that can really get into this. It wasn't the kind of science that I would have liked to read more about. That's why it didn't capture me. It didn't make me go, wow, he's like, I mean, obviously he's a genius in this book for doing what he does, but it's hard for me to see that, because I don't understand as much of what's going on, if that makes sense. I'm going to go through some books I got from the library recently as well, which I'm supposed to get through soon, but I have so much other bookish things going on right now that, like, I need to sort things out and really read a lot in the next few weeks. So I'm gonna grab those books and I'll be right back. My husband currently doesn't know how to stand up straight, apparently. But anyway, And now my cat is following him. So if you hear him talking, he's just talking to his friends and being weird. Anyway, so these are the books from the library, if you can see. All three of these are not humongous books, so that's nice. Oh, hi, baby. Oh, hi. Mwah. Just look at him. Look how cute he is. Okay, you can go play. I originally was only gonna get 2 books, but then I had a hold from the library that I was not anticipating it becoming available the next day after I placed a hold on it, but it did, so I got it the next day. So I have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I wanted to read this because, first of all, I've read some of Margaret Atwood's poems, and I really enjoy them. I actually had one of her poems read at my wedding. I'm really intrigued about how this is. If it's like, it's a science fiction though. I'm intrigued about the story. I think it has something to do with, it's either men like being like controlling all the women or women controlling all the men. I just know it has something to do with gender and stuff like that. I'm not making any sense. But I did want to see what this was all about because there's a bunch of hype around the book. And these other 2 books, I have Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. I loved Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So I think this is another type of thriller, mystery, maybe gothic romance type of thing, similar to Rebecca, but probably not as good because, you know, Rebecca was really high up there. The last book I have from the library is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and this is an Agatha Christie book. I actually checked this book out a few months ago, and then I did not get to it, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to it this time. So this is the first one that I'm going to read when I get to the library books, which will be soon, because I need to. I heard this is one that should be read, but I feel like it's been spoiled for me when I read online about Agatha Christie. I feel like I got this spoiled for me, but I really hope not. So if I did, oh well. Hopefully it's still a good book. I've read Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None, and they're both very, very good. I wanted to get to reading more Agatha Christie and more mystery type books in general. The big books thing. So I made a video at the beginning of the year or around that time talking about the fact that I wanted to read a book about every other month that was at least 600 pages. And I gave a list of 6 books that I was planning to read that were part of my shelves, because I have a lot of bigger books on my shelves that I have not read yet. I kind of failed because I have not finished any of those books that I mentioned yet. However, I am in the middle of reading one of them, and I did already read 2 books that were 600 or more pages. They just were not ones that I owned. I read Lord of the Rings, which I counted in my reading challenge as 1 book, and I borrowed that from my brother because I didn't own that, but I may want to buy the book because I absolutely loved it and watched the movies and finally actually, you know, have the whole story together now. I am definitely not regretting reading Lord of the Rings because I feel like it was necessary for me to do, especially being a fan of fantasy. So I did do that, and I did read another book called The Aeronauts Windlass by Jim Butcher, who wrote the Dresden Files, and this was a steampunk book, and I got this from the library. It was like 600 to 700 something pages, and it was very good too. I very much enjoyed that book, and that was for a book club that I was taking part in, which I'm not really taking part in anymore, but I did read it for that because I wanted to try it at a book club. So I have justifications for reading both of those books, and I'm very glad that I read them. Last month, as I said, I was only reading this book. I was not doing too well with the reading last month, but yeah. hopefully I'll give an update at some point. Maybe I'll do a wrap-up if I actually read enough books this month. I don't know. If I do a haul, it'll probably be a library haul because I have not been buying books because I just need to read the books I own or get them from the library. I'm not really wanting to buy books at the moment because I have access to most of the books that I would want to read in a free way. So yeah. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video and I'll talk to you later. Bye.